When I was diagnosed with cancer, my father-in-law once said to me, "You have cancer, but cancer does not have you." I've thought about that a lot. You have cancer, but cancer does not have you. And I just love this statement. I love this statement because yes, I am a person with cancer, but cancer does not need to define who I am. And so I started to change the dance. I started sitting, taller. I started standing taller. I started getting out of the house. I started making dates with friends, for coffee. And I started to live a life as normal as I possibly could. And it wasn't always easy because I wasn't always well. But I found that by doing this, I always felt better after the fact. At the hospital, for instance, when my buzzer would go bzzz, and it was time for chemotherapy, I would always kind of go, "Woohoo, chemo!" And very slowly I became known in the chemo ward as the woohoo girl. And one of the rituals, and I have no idea how this ritual ever came about, but one of the rituals was I would take my iPad with me, and then my daughter and I would start to sing aloud while we were getting chemo treatments and bone strengthening treatments. We would sing Jersey Boy songs. Everyone, our favorite one was, "You just too good to be true, can't get my eyes off of you." And very slowly, we started to get other chemo patients to sing with us. And so I treated every visit to the hospital as a social event. And I so looked forward to getting to know people there. I got to know the receptionists, and I got to know the cleaners and the cancer cab drivers and the nurses. And my favorite part, though, was getting to know the patients, because each patient was extraordinary. Each patient was incredible, and they all had stories to share. One patient that really had a huge impact on me was someone I met really quite by accident. We were sitting together listening to the jazz festival at the Princess Margaret Hospital in the atrium. And we got talking for almost an hour and a half. And I found out that he had a pretty severe form of stomach cancer, and he was not really expected to make it beyond a few months. And during that time, it was really incredible how he kept cheering me on and telling me how I was going to make this. He gave me a metaphor. He says, "I visualize you in this boxing ring with you and cancer." And he says, "I got to tell you, cancer has no chance against you, And we talked about making it through these difficult times. And we promised each other that we would not only make it through, but we would throw this huge party for everyone in the world once we made it through cancer. Other people that I've met, I met a woman who had lung cancer. And this is a woman with 3 young children. She was in her 30s. And this is a woman who for 2 years was looking for a lung in order to recover. And there was no lung available to her. And every day she was losing hope. I really don't know what's happened of her. But what I can tell you is that this woman had never smoked once in her lifetime. Last week I was in the hospital and I met another lady who had breast cancer 20 years ago. This lady teaches logic at the University of Toronto in the philosophy department, and she's this really elegant woman that just I couldn't stop staring at. And something's happening. She certainly needs additional treatment now. I've met this unbelievable woman who I used to look forward to seeing at every hospital visit. She had breast cancer 5 years ago, and at the time that she was going through treatment, she was pregnant and didn't know it. So she went through all of the chemotherapy treatments, etc., while she was pregnant. and her baby is now 5 years old, and unfortunately her cancer has now spread, and so she needs more treatment. You know, it occurred to me, you know, as I watch all these patients, that we tend to label people, and we tend to, you know, think of people in terms of, you know, this is a cancer patient, this is a businessman, you know, this is a homemaker. And so often we limit people to the labels we give them. And yet what I'm learning is that every individual, you know, is a complex human being with dreams and challenges and hopes and passion. And I find now that when I'm meeting people for the first time, or even for the 100th time, I'm always so curious about them. It's as if I'm meeting them for the first time, you know, no labels, only people.
It's like yesterday, I didn't even know your name. Now today, you're always on my mind. I never could have predicted that I'd feel this way.